Hello, Bucs fans. We are live on a Monday. It's Real Bucs Talk here. I'm your host, Michael Plus. Joined as always, my co-host, Mark Ramirez. And Mark, this team has made the playoffs once again. That is four. Yeah, playoffs.
Playoffs?
I mean, no one thought this team was gonna win the NFC South again. A lot of doubters out there, especially in national media. But not us. I mean, we thought this team would at least win 7 games or more, and they ended up doing that. And obviously, it was good enough to win the division. They found a way yesterday to pull out a victory against the Carolina Panthers 9-0. First shutout since 2010. So that's a long time ago. But they made it happen, and it's pretty awesome. And now you go into a season where it's anybody's ball game, really. It's 0-0. Everybody's clean slate. So who knows what's going to happen moving forward, and we'll see. We got the Philadelphia Eagles as the matchup, and it's on Monday night. So imagine that. We get Monday Night Football yet again.
Talk about prime time.
Right. Exactly.
I'll say this before we even start talking about the playoffs and everything. From last year to this year, I have more hope in this game that we have a chance to win than I did against the Cowboys last year. Like I already knew going in, we knew what the hell we're going to expect with Byron Leftwich. We knew what the offense was going to be. Even though it's Tom Brady, great, yeah. You could tell based off of our vibe or the way we were talking, we're going to lose. It was just how bad is it going to be? This game, we could win or we could lose, but the thing is, it's a toss-up. This team could probably be anyone. It's just, do they get out of their own way? Do they understand from their past experiences of starting so damn slow and fix it? I don't know. I mean, we've seen a quick spurt of showing it, but then you have this game where the offense doesn't score at all. It's just the special teams doing it for you. Tristan Wirfs coming out saying we need to step the hell up, which we didn't do anything, literally anything. You had drop passes, you had holding the ball too long, injury. Yeah, your quarterback's injured, but still, like even Jonathan Vilma said it the best. He's like, I don't care if you have injuries at all. You got to execute. You got to step up. That's what the team's expecting. So, but either way, made the playoffs. Awesome. We called it in the beginning of the season. 7's the floor. I think we said 10 was the high. I think we said in there. So we're pretty much right in that range, even though people said it was bullshit. There's no way in hell. It's not Tom Brady, so we're going to suck. Yeah, we were a little frustrated with some of the spurts of the season, but the talent is there. It showed. It's just getting a team to work together, coaching staff and all. And let's see. I mean, it's still a young, exciting team. How far can the coaching take us, right?
Yeah, no, I think we've seen a version of this team this season that could compete against anybody. I think, we saw that against Green Bay. We saw that against Jacksonville. If they can play close to that version or maybe at that level, I think we definitely have a chance against Philadelphia. Philadelphia is coming into this game losing the last 5 of 6. We come into this game winning the last 5 of 6 games. So it's like the complete opposite spectrum for both teams. But yeah, yesterday, probably not going to spend too much on yesterday's game. I think defensively, they did enough. They found ways to stop. Obviously there was some bad breaks for Carolina. I mean, Antoine Winfield yet again with a big play at the goal line, forces a fumble, prevents a touchdown, and then they had a touchdown later that got called back because of legal formation. So technically this game could have been like 10-9 at some point, or even, maybe worse. But again, things went the Buccaneers' way. That's what matters. You found a way to get the win. Chase McLaughlin, clutch kicker, probably he was the best kicker of Bucs franchise history, I think, yesterday with 93% accuracy or something like that. It was like the highest ever. So he had a really good season. I think he only missed 2 kicks out of the whole year. Really impressive. Yaya Diaby again leading the team in sacks. That's who saw that coming. Who saw that coming this season? So him.
Breaking news.
There you go. Yeah. Dave Canales. Yep, coaching interview for the Panthers.
if all goes well, I want to thank the Buccaneers organization for giving me an opportunity to be the offensive coordinator for this team. Truly a blessing. Can't wait to see what God has planned next. It almost seems like he's like, okay, I'm going to take it regardless.
Mhm.
Oh, it's crazy. So yeah, if he's
Yeah.
gone, whoops. But yeah, I could keep going on. Yeah, we'll talk about that later, unless you want to talk about it now.
No, that's okay. I mean, he's gonna get interviews. I think those are warranted. We all knew he was probably gonna get more interviews this cycle for, a potential head coaching job. I don't think he gets a head coaching job. I think he'll just be in the conversation for interviews, and I see him likely back with the Buccaneers, with that being the case. But who knows? I mean, if someone wants to take a chance on him, I mean, we see how he talks. Like, the guy knows how to talk, and he knows how to lead, his offensive players. And he has shown some really good things this season. There has been some down spots as well, but I think that's part of the process. The one I'm worried about that also had an interview was Mike Greenberg, our salary cap guy. He got an interview for a GM job. So that one has me more worried than, say, Dave Canales. But yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see how that plays out. But back to yesterday, again, they did enough. They found ways to win. And again, this team at 9-8, it's one more win than last year, which is an improvement. So it's a step up. And I think, to your point about the Eagles game, yeah, I think we have a much better opportunity in this game. I think we match up a lot better. And I think things are falling more in our favor for this game. And I think if the offense can do what they're capable of and Dave has a good play calling game, I think they have a really good chance of being right there. I don't know if they'll win it, but they'll be definitely more closer than, I say, the Cowboys game last year, because last year we knew the offense just wasn't going to do anything. They were pretty much a stale. And I think you have more upside with this offense if Baker Mayfield is healthy, because the guy he's beat up right now, sore ankle and bad ribs.
All right, so something funny. So I guess Dave Canales, his Twitter says,
Yeah.
just for your information, I don't have an Instagram account. Go
Oh,
Bucs.
so it's a fake.
Everyone's so quick to wanting to put the news out first.
Yeah,
And that happens. So let's go check that out. Because I was
that's
like, wait a minute, because
interesting.
I don't think I've ever seen him with an Instagram. So then I went to his Twitter,
Right.
and then look what happens. Boom. Just for your
Yeah.
information, I don't have an Instagram account. Go Bucs, locked in. Let's get it.
I thought so. I didn't think he had an Instagram either. So again, it just shows you how people,
Right?
just want to fool us. So
Right. But also it's like the way it was worded, it was like, I'm out. Like I don't from the way he
yeah,
says
it didn't make
he's a
sense, right?
very like cerebral guy. He's gonna judge where he's gonna go and want to set up properly.
Right.
Well, it's just funny how quickly people want to get crap out.
Hmm.
That's why you got to settle down and interpret what's going on in front of you before you make judgment.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Uh,
Um,
but go
Well,
ahead.
here, let me bring this up so can kind of just overview the season so far. I mean, just looking at the numbers, obviously Baker Mayfield was the, bargain free agent signing. You get him for 1 year, $4 million. He's already got plenty of incentives and had a pretty decent year. Again, 64% completion percentage, not bad. Over 4,000 yards, 7.1 yards per attempt. He had 28 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, pretty good ratio there. 40 sacks, that's quite a lot. You don't want to see that many. I think most of those were towards the end of the season, unfortunately. So you like to see that improve. 94 rating, which is pretty good. So not a bad season from Baker Mayfield. And I think he's definitely earned, at least another opportunity with the Buccaneers, pending what happens with, if the staff is back as far as returning, which looks like it's going to happen. So just, I mean, your thoughts on Baker Mayfield and how he's done so far.
It's been just I'll say this based on what we were talking about earlier today about Jameis Winston, the roller coaster
Right.
with him. He's nowhere near that fashion. Yes, would we have liked to see a little bit more consistency? Yeah. Uh, but the ability to not have that many turnovers, how we even talked at the beginning of the season, will we have a Jameis Winston type of season? Because
Right.
that was his MO. I felt like he limited a lot of it. It was just the offense wouldn't consistently go, right?
Mhm.
Was it totally on him? Was it the whole offense as a whole? Terrible running game, right? Even though we almost got a 1,000-yard rusher 10 yards away,
Yep.
that came on late. But the a lot of it to me is the offense learning together, not having the offensive line to run what we wanted to run, but
Right.
that also puts on coaching. Like if you don't have the horses to run it, don't force it. And that was one thing he kept saying, I'm stubborn with, I'm going to keep running it. It uh, so I'm not going to put it all on Baker because I'm a Baker fan. I've always been. I'm always the one fighting plus on whose fault it really is. Yes, there were times he would hold the ball a little too long, which you don't want. You want a guy that can run the offense, right? Or else you're going
Yep.
to be Johnny Manziel running around and just throwing the damn ball in the air.
Right.
Baker at times could do it, and then at times I don't know what he was doing. I just want to see more of the consistent Baker where he can be a guy that can lead you
Mhm.
in this offense. And I think he's going to get a contract with the Bucs and stay here a couple more years. How long? Tenure? I don't know.
Yep.
But I think that's also another chip to try and make sure we can make Mike Evans come back too. I mean,
Mhm.
everyone seems to like Baker Mayfield. And
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about that. They really, admire him as a leader. I think he's shown that with his toughness and just his ability to, play through injury and continue to, you know, do everything he can to help this team win. So that's obviously the case so far. And, he's going to be ready for Monday. We all know that. He's going to find a way to be out there.
oh yeah,
And we just got to hope, he can be efficient enough. And Dave's got to do a good job of helping him there. I think they got to find ways. Hopefully, he can be mobile enough where they can get him outside the pocket, try to navigate, those pass rush from the Eagles because they're going to be coming after him. So that's going to be important. But going to the run game like you were talking about, I mean, Rashad White, pretty solid season given what he was working with. New run scheme,
mm,
wasn't really running the ball well early on in the first half of the season, but started to come on late. Almost finished with 1,000 yards, and that's pretty impressive given his 3.6 average, which isn't good. You want to see that number over 4 at least. But did a pretty good job given the circumstances and a lot of attempts too. I mean, he had 272 carries, so that's quite a bit. But his real thing came in the receiving game.
oh yeah.
64 catches, which is pretty good. Almost 600 yards in receiving, 8.6 yards per catch, which is pretty solid. 3 touchdowns there. Did a really good job in the receiving game. And then on top of that, you had 2 1,000-yard receivers in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Mike with one of his better seasons since I think 2016 or 2018. He had 13 touchdowns. Really good year from him. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, not a bad year for the offense overall. I mean, obviously, you want to see more points per game, but I thought they did enough throughout the season. And then when we go to the defense, I mean, you got to start with this guy, Antoine Winfield Jr.,
Non-Pro Bowler.
non-Pro Bowler, probably should be up for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he was really outstanding. I mean, 122 tackles as a safety, 6 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 12 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. He had 6 forced fumbles, 4 of them he recovered.
Gosh.
I mean, that's ridiculous numbers right there for a safety, and did a really heck of a job. Pretty much he was an extra linebacker
Yeah.
slash safety in there. And then Levante David just, doesn't age. Like,
There's a ranch dressing party. Right, keep going, keep going.
but no, I mean, just talk about Levante and Antoine Winfield because they were outstanding all his season.
Talk about padding the stats, right? I mean,
Yeah,
a guy that can literally light it up doesn't get a Pro Bowl. I still have no damn clue why that's possible.
right.
How pathetic of a voting scheme it is.
Mm,
Uh, but a guy like that, most deserving, they kept putting it up on the last game against the Panthers. I'm like, that's gross.
Yeah.
If anyone sees that, how do you ever put the other guy in? Like that is stupid. And just to in a contract year plays like it, right? Does everything you can across the board. Talk about playing like a Superman. He's like 5'9", 200 pounds. It could be anywhere at any moment. I mean, how many damn times he saved us deep, short, tackles for loss, anywhere. It doesn't matter. He's around there. And a trick of all trades. He's played nickel all last season, goes back to the deep safety, plays in the box. Like the guy can do it all. And it's crazy how good he is. And then you got Levante David, the ageless one, just racking up tackles, missed time with the growing injury of himself.
Right.
And still look at the numbers he put up. And it's damn good.
Yeah.
So those two automatically should be Pro Bowlers, in my opinion. I don't care if we're not the San Francisco 49ers. They played lights out all season long, consistent play.
Yeah.
The rest of the defense, like give homage to Christian Isian, an undrafted free agent, played the entire season, didn't miss any games, got stats. Like if you look at there he is right there, 47 tackles, 65 total. But I mean, a guy that was consistently there. He had the early interceptions, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is the guy." He kind of faded off, but it's not like he went away. He was always there, always in the scheme. I think he's just going to be a guy that just continuously gets better year after year, and will solidify our secondary. Yes, our Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis injuries plagued. What the heck? Sometimes we're like, well, how much money do we give these guys to give par effort, and then how many games did you miss? Right?
Yeah.
Overall, the top two guys, very deserving of any recognition possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and even Zy McCollum stepped up in a big way.
Yeah.
He ended up with 68 tackles on the year, which is pretty solid for a corner. 9 pass breakups, so really good job by him. I think he is probably looking like a future starter for this team. Probably this next season coming up in 2024. I think Carlton Davis might be moved on from, so that is something to look for. But let's talk about the younger guys and just the guys up front. Really, Yaya Diaby comes in
Insane.
like midway through the season, becomes a full-time starter, ends up with 7.5 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, 39 total tackles on the year. Just an insane production in a short period of time. And then Kalijah Cansey as well with 4 sacks. He also had 10 tackles for loss. And just both of those guys played really well. Even like a Marquise Watts, I thought.
So look at the numbers, though. Look at the tackles for loss, though. Click that one. Look who the top 3 are.
Yeah.
You got 2 rookies, and you have Levante David.
Right. And even Vita Vea, right there in the top.
It's not bad drafting right there. It's not bad.
No, not at all. But yeah, just those 2 guys, really impressive. So it just shows, I mean, you look at those 3 names right there in the bottom or below Levante. Those are your defensive guys in the front. Vita Vea, Cansey, and Diaby. They're going to be your guys going forward. Yeah, the other cornerstones. So it's really impressive.
And this should be the beginning. I mean, Cansey missed time because of injury.
Right.
Getting with the scheme. You heard Todd Bowles in the press conference. He's like, they're finally getting it and putting their stamp on it. They were thinking a lot early. Now they're just going. And it's Yaya actually started the San Francisco 49ers game or the game after that?
I think it was the 49ers game. So from the 49ers game on, he's just been ridiculous. So
right. And it's just consistent. That's all you've seen from these 2 guys, like Yaya and Cansey, consistently in the backfield. And when they get tackles for loss, they are big.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have asked for a better draft class, more consistent type of players from that class. And finding, I mean, even like getting what we saw from Servasia Dennis, like another pickup where you're like, holy crap, a guy that can just plug and play kind of thing, where you have a big decision on Devin White moving forward. Yeah. Did he play like a $20 million man? Yes. Bearing injury. Okay. He probably would have wanted a better season, but only 2.5 sacks for a guy that does best going downhill. 3 tackles. He had the 2 interceptions, but I don't know. Like, there's going to be a lot of big decisions in the offseason, but still, we're in the playoffs,
Yep.
and I'm going to want him to play like a man with his head on fire. Downhill, let's start using him how he's supposed to, and let's see. Let's see what happens
Yep.
moving forward. But overall, like the young nucleus of guys, they're there. I think it's just keep building on it, and let's see. Let's see who's the quarterback, who's the head coach, who's the offensive coordinator.
Right.
A lot of question marks still, even though they're in the playoffs, which is insane. Like,
Yeah.
it's like one of those seasons where you wanted something consistent, but it wasn't. Is it just because of the first year in their system, or is it something where the Glazers don't want it?
Hmm.
No one truly knows right now.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and just looking at, some of the guys that maybe didn't play up to par, kind of disappointed. I mean, obviously Devin White is in that mix. Ryan Neal, Jamel Dean and Davis were kind of up and down.
Mm.
And then you look at Shaq Barrett coming off the Achilles injury. Obviously, that hampered him. But still he finished with 4.5 sacks,
Mhm.
which isn't bad. But again, you were expecting more from him. So they got decisions to make on probably Barrett. You look at Davis, Neal. I like JTS as a rotational piece. I think that's a really solid year for him if he is a rotational guy. 5
Yeah.
sacks, um, and then kind of replaces Anthony Nelson as that third guy. They just need someone else to go with Diaby if they can find someone like that. Um,
Well, we've mentioned in the past, like, they have guys in
yeah,
the back that are coming up. Marquise
right.
Watts. You have,
Yep.
Ramirez in the back too. Like, he
Yep.
saw him celebrating. I guarantee he's chomping at the bit to get his opportunity.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, you look at those guys. I mean, and D Delaney, I thought did a pretty good job stepping up. When he was called upon. Got a lot of these young guys, like you're mentioning. Kayvon Merriweather got a lot of time towards the end. You look at,
Even
Logan
JJ Russell,
Hall.
your guy. Logan
Logan
Hall, yeah.
Hall, yeah, JJ Russell. All these guys continue to show like they just showed certain things throughout the year. Again, it wasn't consistent, but at least they showed a way. So I think there's a lot of promising things for the defensive side of the ball and also on offense too. But let's look at what did I want to look at next here? Oh yeah, last thing was just to show the where's his stats. I mean, look at the stats for Chase McLaughlin. Let me see if I can. Here we go. So 93.5% on the year for Chase. Like he was big
Not too
time.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Big time this year. 29 of 31. And look at his numbers from 50 plus. I mean, 7 of 8. That's really good. Didn't miss an extra point. So he was solid. Then Jake Camarda was awesome pretty much all year. I mean, he had a couple
The
bad
past couple
kicks over the
games.
last couple weeks. He was kind of down, but still he averaged 50.1 yards per kick per punt, 41.8 net. He had 26 inside the 20. That's really good. So I mean, special teams from their point of view was pretty solid. Really good job. So
Yeah, and, like, so I see people in the comment section, like, you're talking to the 2 most critical people of Logan Hall there is.
yeah.
And to me, he did a lot of his assignment-based stuff. Like,
Hmm.
yes, he's still not the best in the running game, but he improved in the running game. If there was a play that was being had, he was following up on the play. It's not like he was completely lost, going the wrong way, on the ground all the time. Like, he showed a lot of steps forward. Do I ever think he's gonna be like a first round type caliber player? He was a first pick in the second round.
Hmm.
But do I think he's worthy of where he was taken that high? I'm not necessarily sure. Maybe he could have gotten production different somewhere elsewhere, but he's playing within the scheme better. That's all I can ask for. And same thing with JTS. Like, maybe he just shouldn't have been a first round talent. He has the size, strength, speed, but
Hmm.
he's just not putting it all together consistently, like how quickly Yaya did.
Right.
And they're very similar body types. I think JTS is even bigger. It just
Yeah.
Yaya just naturally has the strength that JTS doesn't have. So I mean, defensively, I like where they can be. If you get a improved safety or an improved middle linebacker to cover what middle linebacker Devin White would miss, I think
Mm.
it'd be a lot more sound of a defense. even though this team just shut out the Panthers.
Yeah.
But offensively, I think if you keep the band together, you can see some progress. Even though Baker Mayfield's past of second year in the system didn't show that, I think it's more of a credit to the whole team learning together than
Hmm.
than just the quarterback learning the scheme, like how Tom Brady had. Like the whole offense had to learn. So
Yeah.
I think
No,
a lot of it can be improved.
Yeah, no, I think those are all valid points. I think you would like to see if this team remains together and can they continue to find consistency, continue to get better as a unit. Obviously, Jason Light's going to bring in more talent. He finds a way to do that every offseason. Did it this year, and I thought it was funny with him basically trolling Cam Jordan. I thought that was great. That was a great job by him. Saying, yeah, the Bucs are back, back as champs again in the NFC South. So, yeah, I think that's great. And just showing that the Saints are now out of the playoffs, which is awesome. And yeah, I mean, that team going to stick with Dennis Allen, and you'll probably see Jameis Winston probably shipped out because of what happened with him and the whole thing. So, um, yeah, just really excited to see what this team can do on Monday night against the Eagles. We'll see if they can put things together. It's going to be important. Can they find consistency on offense and defensively? Can they just find ways to stop the run? Can they find a way to make the Eagles throw the ball? Because with Jalen Hurts and his dislocated finger, like you want to try to make him throw the ball and see if he's accurate, and his accuracy hasn't always been there this season.
Yep.
So maybe you can force him into mistakes. But I think because remember that first matchup we played them, the first matchup we went against them, it was mainly DeAndre Swift just running it down our throats. So
Later in the game,
yeah. So can we shut them down in that regard and find a way to make it more advantageous for us to find advantages?
Actually, let's bring that up. But I was going to say that he
Mhm.
gave Devin White one of his 2 interceptions. It was a
Yeah.
gift. It was just
Yeah,
like,
he
"Here you
did.
go, Devin," and that was Devin's growing. If he doesn't have an injury, he probably runs that thing back.
Right.
Uh, but I mean, his accuracy's never been there. There's like not bashing. What do I say? Not a rift, but
Mhm.
they're not all in unison right now. AJ Brown supposedly is angered at the system itself, not getting him the ball.
Right.
I've always been saying this. If you just double AJ Brown, have anyone else beat you in that passing game, let's see what happens.
Mhm.
I know Devontae Smith, he has got the speed game. Yeah. Okay, worry about that, but I'm not going to be worried about him beating me consistently underneath and breaking tackles.
Yeah.
But the best way to get them away from running the game is to come out fast, early, and score points. This offense hasn't shown they can do that all season. But when
Mhm.
they do it in freaking bunches. So what's it going to be? There's an Eagles defense that's been giving up points to subpar teams. Can we start scoring? Yes, they have a great defensive line, but the secondary and linebackers are just confused right now. They're not working together as a team.
Mhm.
That's the biggest thing. You got to work together as a team. Your coach has got to set you up for success. So can Canales draw it up, learn from his mistakes, and then a lot of that last game was drops. It doesn't necessarily wasn't on Dave Canales. How many times do we see Mike Evans drop a ball? He dropped a touchdown
Right.
in that game. Um,
Yep.
the drops for him have luckily looked like they've gone away as I knocked on wood. Um, but I mean, even I think they had the one big play. Was that? Oh, that was the Lions game. The Trey Palmer, the big over route.
Yeah.
But it
Yep.
it didn't fall apart until you saw the turnovers happen, which was the Baker Mayfield interception and then fumble back to back. Rashad White. Limit your mistakes, which we've learned. They can. When
Mhm.
they don't do that, they're in every damn game. Limit your mistakes and let's see if we can score early, because that's a good recipe for success. Thumbs up.
Yeah, definitely you want to try to get out to the lead early. Hopefully they can do that. And if you can, again, that plays into what Dave Canales wants to do, which is run the football,
Yeah.
protect Baker Mayfield from facing a tough, pass rush in the Philadelphia Eagles. So, I have it up here. Here is the early game cast. And again, they have the Eagles favored. I think they are, yes. So they're a 3-point favorite, as you see there. But yeah, Jalen Hurts again, not great numbers, not great numbers, lesser numbers than Baker from that standpoint. But they do run the football. He runs the football, so you have to keep in mind for that. AJ Brown, again, mainly their offense. So you have to find ways to, like you said, double him, slow him down, and you got to find a way to get this guy the ball, and hopefully, he catches these in this game, because the last one he did not. And they're dealing with injuries as well. And, they just lost Sidney Brown, their rookie safety. That's a big loss. And Darius Slay has been dealing with injuries. So they're pretty banged up as well. They've been dealing with some things. And you look at these last games here, I mean, not good. A tough loss against Arizona. They lost against Seattle. Dallas beat them pretty good. And then they lost, they didn't really play for anything yesterday, and they lost to the Giants pretty convincingly. So, and then you look at the Buccaneers. I mean, if the Bucs can find a way to play like they did against Jacksonville or Green Bay, where the offense can move the ball and try to put up at least 24 points, somewhere in that ballpark, I think 24 to 27, I think you give yourself a chance against the Eagles offense and how they've been, scoring the footballs lately.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. And that's the thing. Like, the defense very much is, I mean, everyone's healthy right now. Everyone besides Baker, and he's banged up.
Yeah.
Everyone else is pretty much healthy, especially defensively. So go all out. If there's something, I mean, Jalen Hurts, dislocated his middle finger or something like that?
Yeah.
Force him to throw the ball, solidify that ground game, stop them early. If you force him to throw, I'm very comfortable with him throwing the ball. He had 2 picks against us. Look at the game stats from that.
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh no, that's you. Where am I?
You got to
Where am
read.
I? Add to the stage.
There you go.
Look at this. He had a touchdown, 2 interceptions, but it was just the underneath to AJ Brown where he would just extended it. Like, just kept getting him the ball and he would extend the plays. 14 targets. Look at that. Cover this one guy, limit this guy, stop the run, let anyone else beat you. I mean, they've done it in the past where they lose badly to one team in the regular season and then they shut them the crap down in the regular season. Todd Bowles knows how to adjust and learn. We've seen that. That's why I was always confident in him, but as a head coach, it's questionable. But I think based off of looking back at what you've done defensively, I think they will have a plan. Offensively, it's the same thing as in this game. It was 13-3 at halftime. It was not out of reach. And then the offense just couldn't do anything. A lot of it, yeah. Look at it. I mean, our offense didn't have anything. 146 yards, a touchdown, interception, like I mentioned earlier. And then Rachaad White couldn't move at all. That's when our running game was nothing. It was pathetic. And he had 60 yards and a touchdown, but it could have been such a bigger game. Like, early on, he dropped a first down, huge conversion right through his hands. Then he drops a touchdown later in the second half. You just can't have that. Momentum's huge, especially in the playoffs. You can't have things like that. Like, here we go, the fumbles.
Yeah.
And stuff I was talking about. But I mean, overall, if there's an easier opponent, I'm not gonna say easier, but like a better match could have had, I don't think there is one. I mean, this is the team. You saw what they had. They're right now troubling. Attack it. Use as much as you can.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, just before we're probably gonna wrap things up here in a little bit. Mark's struggling with his voice, so I don't want him to lose it. Get him well, get some rest. But yeah, I mean, just looking back overall on the season, I think you have to be pretty happy with this team. I think they exceeded expectations, especially with a first-time offensive play caller, a new quarterback, a lot of new pieces on the offensive line. We forget that the offensive line is all new positions for them. You had your right tackle move to left. You had a new left guard. You had a new center, new right guard, new right tackle. So pretty much everything new. And then also you're leaning on second-year guys and Rachaad White and Cade Otton. The receivers. I mean, so a lot of new things there to adjust, and it took them a while. We didn't really see them grasp it till that Houston Texans game. And then defensively, it's been up and down as well, right? So it's kind of been hit or miss for the defense. When they do get turnovers, obviously they play a lot better. That's been the big thing for them, trying to get pressure with blitzes and stuff like that. I think the best thing for the defense is when they play it simple, AKA blitz Devin White, just keep it simple, let him go in. I think that's when they do their best and play some man coverage. We saw that against Carolina, and they pretty much shut them down. I mean, Carolina had some runs, here or there, but Carolina couldn't move the ball, and that's why they're the worst team in the league. I mean, they were 2-14 for a reason. So, yeah. So the Bucs, I think they have a great chance against the Eagles. Will they win? I don't know. I think it's going to be a tall task. I think Baker's going to have to play consistent. I think the offensive play calling is going to have to be right, and it's really going to come down to the offense. I think they're going to have to find ways to make it happen. So, yeah,
I'll say this: start.
That's a great comment,
right?
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
AJ Hawk is like the palest man in the world. He's got a massive hit. Hey, I'll take it though. I do need a cigar. I don't know if that's going to help with my voice, but it wouldn't hurt going down. I mean, like you just said, like the offense is going to have to find a way to score points.
Yeah.
But to me, limit your turnovers, stay in the game. You're at home. Let's see what can happen. I mean,
right.
the game didn't get away from you until you started turning the ball over. And they were self-inflicted. There was like Baker staring in the middle of the field down, threw it right to the safety.
Yeah.
And the fumble by Rachaad White, he's trying to get too many yards he shouldn't have gotten. Just go down, and someone finds him from behind, pops that ball out.
Yeah.
Like, fix those things, and then catch the ball when it hits your hands. Like Trey Palmer against the Panthers, we probably can get a touchdown if he just catches a ball.
Yeah.
Right. And we keep drives going. So we got to be able to execute what's there. Yeah. Baker didn't have a good game. He didn't have a terrible game. They couldn't convert a lot of it. I mean, he didn't have a good game at all. 137 yards. But let's just see what they can do if they don't beat themselves. And you're facing a team that's fighting themselves right now. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, this says it right here by Christopher. I mean, the Eagles defense has been poor over the last several weeks. I mean, they're in the bottom of a lot of stat categories for defense, and so that bodes a good sign for the Bucs offense, and hopefully they can find a way to get some points and put up enough to help this team be in the end, or be in contention at the end of the game and find a way to win it. Maybe on a long Chase McLaughlin field goal. That'd be awesome to send them home. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for us, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Be sure to hit that like button, give us a comment, subscribe if you haven't. If you guys are new here, please hit that subscribe and support us. But again, we appreciate all you guys being in here, talking it up, and really looking forward to the playoffs, and hopefully when we're
playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully when we're on here next time for the live stream, hopefully we're talking about a Buccaneers victory, and who knows, maybe we're talking about the next matchup against probably the San Francisco 49ers, and we'll see how that one goes. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for us. Everyone have a great week, good night, and we'll see you on the next time. Go Bucs.
What are we waiting for?